computer. And we live, horse. All right. So, Saidiya Hartman, Wayward Lives, Beautiful Experiments. We're starting on page Roman numeral 17. And this is the cast of characters. I have no clue if this is something that we will need to return to for each book, or return to even for each story in each book, but we can figure that out. Cast of characters. Girl number 1 wanders through the streets of Philadelphia's 7th Ward and New York's Tenderloin. I don't know what the Tenderloin is, though Lemuel and I were talking about it a lot. So I don't know if you all are familiar with this idea of like many places across the United States where Black people have been relegated to living, specifically after Reconstruction, as being called the bottom. It's a similar concept. I just don't know what the specifics of Tenderloin versus the bottom. So girl number 1 wanders through the streets of Philadelphia's 7th Ward and New York's Tenderloin, year 1900. She is young, yet so old and raw. Bitch. Niggas be here for millennia, okay? Girl number 2, trapped in an attic studio in Philadelphia, year 1882. This feels so non-linear already. Literally all we're doing is naming the characters and it feels just incredibly non-linear. And I'm both stressed and like, wow, what else will Saidiya do? The window shoppers, 2 young women stroll along South Street, late 1890s. Hey Siri, where's South Street? Oh bitch, come on. If anybody knows if South Street is in Philadelphia or New York, that would be helpful. South Street, 1890s. Yeah, that's an impossible. Oh, South Street, New York. Okay, let's just say New York. Travel back in time to 1890s New York City's Victorian and Gilded Age as you sip champagne. Okay, that's something Caucasian. We're not going to entertain that. Let's maybe New York. Those are the window shoppers. General houseworker appears over the course of the book from 1896 to 1935. She is always on the lookout for an escape route. Come on, fugitivity. Okay, let me open the chat. I'm really terrible at multitasking, so if y'all have commentary, just unmute yourselves, please, because I will not be, that is a need of mine. I will not be looking at the chat. But that's a good documentation space. The rioters, young women imprisoned at Lowell Cottage, Bedford Hills, New York. Okay. Imprisoned. Okay, I need to know what Lowell Cottage is, because all I'm saying is Airbnbs, and Travelocity, and VRBOs, which like would be on brand because like, I wonder if, okay, so these are the rioters and they're imprisoned. I wonder if they're housekeepers. And this is the language. Wow, Sadia's about to take us on a journey. Sadia's really about to take us on a journey. Whoa. Because like if this text is really being told through the language of the spirit of the experience of wayward girls, yeah, like if I'm a housekeeper, specifically after Reconstruction or during Reconstruction even, the role of a housekeeper is not that, you know, far removed from enslavement. The chorus, and this was something that, so I'm rereading the note on method, and I was really confused about what the chorus was, so I'm glad that she clarified that. The chorus, all the unnamed young women of the city trying to find a way to live and in search of beauty. Y'all have chills. Bitch, I can cry. I'm going to pause here because that's the bottom of the page, and I'm just going to honor that as a paragraph. Do anybody have thoughts or anything before? Wow, this is a long cast of characters. South Street might not just refer to a specific place, but the wrong side of the tracks. Come on, Nate. Period. All right, I'm going to keep going, and feel free to unmute yourselves as you. Oh, are you okay?
I was just thinking right off the bat, and I know I said don't interrupt, and now I'm doing it. But
no, this is the pause that I'm honoring. So I'm gonna pause because this is a half page. I'm just gonna pause at the end of this as if it were a paragraph. Go for it.
But just sort of I've been thinking a lot about sort of mythos connected to Blackness.
You said mythos?
Like mythology,
Okay.
like sort of creating, and this chorus, like the Greek chorus, and just these sort of giving these characters that like don't have a name, but like making them so already, like I already feel they are mythic, like almost in a story where like the hero doesn't have a name, but you know that they are the hero, and it's, I don't know, I always with Sadia, and I'm like reading The Bluest Eye at the same time as this, and it's like every page I'm like, well, that was remarkable how you were able to do that. And it's really, I think that's just going to keep coming up, and it's insane. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna read the chorus and there. What is it called in a cast of characters? Like it's not the definition, it's like the description of the character. I don't know. The chorus. All the unnamed young women of the city trying to find a way to live and in search of beauty. Okay, bread and roses is what City is saying. Because Black girls, Black femmes, Black gender oppressed people are not promised either. Okay. Bread and roses. All right, next page, page Roman numeral 18. The paper bag brigade. Oh God, I'm concerned. Women waiting in the Bronx slave market to sell their labor to white wives for starvation wages. Sadia, do you have an opinion?
Has all the things to say.
Period. I'm gonna spotlight my video, so it's not a. Okay, there we go. For the purposes of the recording, or do I want that? When folks speak up for longer commentary, I'll spotlight you all. I like a uniformity sometimes. We'll play with this. Okay. The paper bag brigade. Women waiting in the Bronx slave market. The Bronx slave market to sell their labor to white housewives for starvation wages. I also just, you know, as someone who's currently moving through scenes of subjection, this hyphenation of wives where it is and White House being standalone, I'm just like, what's happening here, Sadia? This is something that you're doing that's just like sort of just a subtle read. To sell their labor. Also, this is very interesting as someone who's currently reading Scenes of Subjection, because Sadia makes this very clear assertion that, you know, emancipation is simply a transformation of chattel slavery, not an, you know, alleviation of it, not a, you know, and of course she names, you know, all of these things that come with this transformation, that there are marked differences between the two, of course, and it is still enslavement. The wages that do not allow for independence. Yeah. Did somebody just unmute?
Yes, I did. I feel like high-key Sadia is giving us another subtle drag with the name of it, the Paper Bag Brigade, because I feel like what she's low-key doing is making commentary on desirability politics, because, you know, the paper bag is light-skinned women. So it's like the white women want the light-skinned pretty girl to come and work for me rather than the dark-skinned girls. So I'm like, we have to, you see how she's dragging them? I just love it.
Thank you, Jeriel, because I had a question about that, but I was also like, maybe it's just like, is this my light skin in this?
You know that Solange song or clip where she's like, do nothing without intention. That is Hartman. Nothing is without intention. And I feel like everything deserves to be interrogated because she did that work.
Really?
I love that. I love Erin. Yes, bitch.
Wow. Yeah, my light skinness jumped out because I was like, paper bag, that has a very specific meaning. But now that I'm reading the description, maybe it means like these women are bringing their paper bag lunch. Janae, come on, rein it in, baby girl. All right, Sapphire, which the moment I see that name, I'm thinking about, wait, Sapphire is a character in Four Women, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the Sapphire, like the Jezebel.
Yes. Four Women, Jezebel.
No, the Sapphire I thought was the one that is like very power hungry, emasculating. Is that the word I'm looking for?
Sure.
Like a Jezebel is a hypersexual woman, Black woman, whereas a Sapphire is a woman who is like power hungry, is the reason that Black relationships don't last. What is the word, the masculine word when you remove their masculinity that they say? What is that? Emasculating, right?
Emasculation. Yeah,
okay.
It's not a...
Yeah, I think the Sapphire is very emasculating. Yeah, can't be controlled. I do think that there is a difference, but please correct me if I'm wrong on that.
The Sapphire caricature, anti-Black. Here we go. Anti-Black something. Okay. The Sapphire caricature portrays Black women as rude, loud, malicious, stubborn, and overbearing. This is the angry Black woman. Not they use it so much that they've abbreviated it to ABW. This is the angry Black woman, popularized in the cinema and on television. She is tart-tongued and emasculating. One hand on a hip and the other pointing and jabbing, or arms akimbo. What does akimbo mean? Is that violently and rhythmically rocking her head, mocking African American men for offenses ranging from being unemployed to sexually pursuing white women, period. She is a shrill nagger. Okay, we're getting close. She is a shrill nagger with irrational states of anger and indignation. Irrational. States of anger and indignation, and is often mean-spirited and abusive. Although African American men are her primary targets, she has venom for anyone who insults or disrespects her. The Sapphire's desire to dominate and her hypersensitivity to injustices make her a perpetual complainer. Her hypersensitivity to injustices. So there's a degree of desensitivity that folks should experience based on this language. Were you gonna say something? Go ahead.
It feels like somebody who is a sapphire is somebody who, excuse me, I just drank that Sprite. Y'all know Sprite be doing the bubbles.
Truth.
Okay. So sapphire is somebody who is like sets their boundaries, talks their shit, walks their walk, doesn't take no shit, and is gonna be about her action, about her paper, about that bag.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that energy, that unfuckwithable energy, is like just not tolerated. And I think that is what a sapphire is. A boss ass bitch. And I think Jeriel said that bitch, and that's my pronoun. So it is I.
You said that.
Yes. Sapphire.
I love it. I think because what came to my mind is like, high key, when I think of a sapphire, I always think of a sex worker, because they create these caricatures, but like high key, there could be overlap, of course. So like the sapphire and the Jezebel can be the same woman, but they're always the sapphire. I think what comes to my mind, like the why there would be a distinction, is the sapphire doesn't have the same access to desirability that the Jezebel does.
Mm-hmm. I'm also just thinking about the sapphire. Like literally, she is just out of her depths. Like, if she were a white man, this would be unremarkable, completely.
But what is a sapphire? That's a diamond, right? Is it a really tough diamond?
It's a blue gemstone. But I'm also thinking, when I first saw sapphire and when I first started reading this definition, though, it's like, damn, do I need to go watch Steven Universe again and like watch this again, like through that lens with this character? Yeah. I'm gonna finish this definition of the sapphire character and return to the text. The sapphire's desire to dominate and her hypersensitivity to injustices make her a perpetual complainer, but she does not criticize to improve things. Rather, she criticizes because she is unendingly bitter and wishes that unhappiness on others. The sapphire caricature is a harsh portrayal of African American women, but it is more than that. It is a social control mechanism that is employed to punish Black women who violate the societal norms that encourage them to be passive, servile, non-threatening, and unseen. And again, Scenes of Subjection is really naming the very deep and expansive narrative building that is happening around the ways that Black people should be existing in the world. So I'm very interested in when this this caricature or archetype emerges, like specifically the year, because it is a narrative, a national narrative building tool. And also this like exemplification of, she's not interested in changing things, which is really just a transformation of the power dynamic that a Black woman, a Black femme, a Black gender oppressed person exists in. Because actually, like, what is the power that a Black woman has to change something but their voice? And it really just, perverts that lack of power, that lack of agency into, you don't have no solutions. Well, if I did, I would probably change the circumstances under which I live. Like, so my voice is what I have. All right, I'm gonna keep going. Maddie Jackson, is that Nay? I don't know how to pronounce that. Maddie Jackson, nay Nelson. I think that means another name for them. N-E with the accent over it. Okay, let's.
Nay.
Nay. Okay. Originally called Born. Come on. Are these our trans sisters entering the room? Originally called or born, used especially in adding a woman's maiden name after her married name. Oh, just kidding. That's not. The example is Mary Too Good, nay Johnson. Okay, so this is her maiden, her married, and then her maiden name. JK. Jump the gun. Okay, a 15-year-old newly arrived in New York from Hampton, Virginia. So is she 15-year-old and married? Which probably, I don't know. I don't know what is common, what is uncommon.
I feel like that is probably common for the like population that she's considering. But has she said yet where we are in time? Like, I don't feel like we read that yesterday in the methodology, but I didn't reread it after we got off the phone to see. Has she located us in a time?
She's giving us lots of time periods to situate ourselves in. But yeah, I think each story probably gives us a new placement in time, probably. Oh shit, that's wild. Oh my goodness, I just looked ahead. Page 4. And it says the ward, the bottom, the ghetto. Here we are. Affirmation. Thank you. Okay, next character, Victoria Earl Matthews, founder of the White Rose Mission and member of the National League for the Protection of Colored Women and the National Association of Colored Women. I feel like this is a white woman. I wonder if this is her actual name. Victoria Earl Matthews. Oh, she was born into slavery. She's looking very Caucasian, but apparently, okay. Victoria Earl Matthews was an American author, essayist, newspaper woman, settlement worker, and activist. She was born into slavery in Fort Valley, Georgia, and moved to New York City with her family after emancipation. There, she briefly attended school and worked as a domestic servant to help her family. So let me show y'all this Black woman. This is wild. Like, what? This is a Black woman, y'all. Another thing that I'm thinking about a lot, so I'm Afro-Latino, you know, my mother is from West Virginia. Growing up, I would be around a lot of white people who culturally were very Black, like in all ways. And as I'm reading the last chapter of Scenes of Subjection, I'm just thinking about the benefit in the way of having your needs served, that the reasons why white people would decide to be Black. This has nothing to do with Victoria, because clearly she was born into slavery. Yeah, because poor white people's needs are not being met as members of whiteness. That's just a fact. But the potential for them to be met as being Black, I don't know. Yeah, child. Anyway, and I'm saying this because I have many family members who, for all intents and purposes, absolutely could pass as white, but from birth, and they're like, no, I'm Black. So I'm like, anyway, many people have written on this specifically around West Virginia. I just need to read it. W.E.B. Du Bois, a young sociologist and newly minted Harvard PhD, conducting a social survey in the heart of the Negro slum, 1896 to 1898. Catherine Davis, it's also very interesting to see the juxtaposition of the language and the way that Sadia is wielding words around these Black characters and the very like clinical ways that she's like defining these other folks that as we get deeper into the text, you'll see how she feels. Catherine Davis, head of the College Settlement Association and first superintendent of the New York State Reformatory for Women at Bedford Hills. Bedford Hills, I feel like, yep, Lowell Cottage, Bedford Hills, New York, is where the rioters are coming from or are in. Ida B. Wells, shout out to the God. We love you. Thank you. Great ancestor. Also, if you've never read Ida B. Wells's text about lynching, her report, it's mind-blowing, truly. Actually, it's a really good companion text to this. Ida B. Wells, radical feminist, anti-lynching activist, writer, political speaker, and troublesome woman, truly. Helen Parrish, a wealthy philanthropist and housing reformer in a companion marriage with Hannah Fox, also a member of the Philadelphia elite. Is this the first queer that we're being introduced to? What is a companion marriage? Anybody, also I'm at the bottom of the page, anybody have anything? Anybody want to pipe up? Cool.
Sorry.
Yeah, go for it.
I'm just trying, this might be also an after thing, but if we could perhaps do, or I'm starting to do this on my own, just sort of, we can make a character cheat sheet, and if people could, I'm gonna add links that I personally think are also connected, but, and maybe I'll add it to the documents, but a character cheat sheet and both sort of white definitions with how Sadia and us are redefining those. And I'm just trying to get everyone. And then also like links to companion pieces for the real people. Or not real people, the people who are named, have their names written down.
Yeah. Wow. And you said you're starting that? You're doing that?
Yeah.
Wow. Can you also include photographs? Because I feel, that has been also an interesting thing to look up while I'm reading this is like, what the Black people look like who are being, who have their texts pulled for this book. And just how many Black women who were writing about enslavement, again, these were abolitionist texts, not merely for the enjoyment of Black people to be reading about, are light-skinned women, like white passing women who have experienced enslavement. Which I don't want to give that too much, but I also don't want to understate that. Yay, thank you.
I think going off point, I'm sorry.
Go for it.
I think like going off that point, the Victoria Matthews person, I think it's important to highlight that she's like leading both Black women stuff and women of color stuff, and like what it means to like be able to generalize like the Black issue with the issue of other women in other groups. And what does that mean for her to like be able to lump in and stand in for both groups of people? I feel like that's not unintentional, that this light-skinned woman can then stand on the behalf of Black women who are dark-skinned, who do not have the privilege of ambiguity or not being white passing. So I'm like, what does it mean for her to be like, she actually is a Googleable actual person, or her name is remembered in history? Why is her name remembered? It's because she's white passing, in my opinion.
It might also be access too. So I mean, yes, because she's white passing, but I'm wondering if it's being white passing is twofold, and maybe this is what you're saying, that it allows access for this woman to be able to read and write and create text, right? Maybe even leverage her body for labor in a different way than dark-skinned women were allowed to. So but I also am wondering, not that the dark, like questioning if dark-skinned women were maybe not even allowed to do this work. So maybe it's not that they are the only ones remembered, but were they allowed to do the work?
Yes.
Because light-skinned women, that gives them being light-skinned gives them privilege and access, gives us as a light-skinned woman privilege and access. So I'm wondering if it's like doing a couple of things.
Yes, I think that's exactly the point I was trying to make, because I think it is like, because I think Sadia is trying to really have us remember how this like an allegory for the real like current times. Like she's talking about stuff that is historical that has happened, but like we can see how this can ring true to our current environment. Like, would a dark-skinned Black woman have the access to write about this in our current day that the same way they would have historically? Of course, the archive would be that there will be no dark-skinned women doing that kind of work because she doesn't have access to that. It's not unintentional that she doesn't have access to it. It is because of the politics of her being able to leverage that stuff. So I'm like, what does it mean for a biracial woman being able to opt into Blackness back in the day is not much different. It doesn't optically do different things than a biracial woman being able to opt into Blackness now. Like, what does it mean for her whose place is she speaking over for her to say that she's Black?
If you're biracial, does that mean that you're opting into to Blackness? Does that make a claim that Blackness is something that is, I have to sit with this as a biracial person. Do I opt into my Blackness or opt into my whiteness? And there are obviously people who are way more white passing. I wouldn't say that I'm white passing with short hair, but are definitely white passing Black folks. My brother is white passing, but I don't know if Blackness is something that opt or activation that you can do. But then I'm thinking of a book that I read by I think you say her last name, Yas. And she was talking about in the 1940s, 1930s, where Black folks were just disappearing into whiteness, ditching their families and going right up twice. So I don't know. I feel like that is such an interesting point, because I'm both and at the same time. I'm never more one than the other. And I feel like to think that it is even like one and another feels weird.
That's real, Aaron. I feel like I know Jared Saxon writes a lot about, because he's a biracial man, that like I think a lot of people like it's hard to gauge this type of stuff because there's a very clear difference between being light skinned and being white passing. So I think that like this type of discussion, the fact that your identity can morph so quick, like different depending on the context to where you are, is a very different well, I'm sorry, I don't want to take up too much time with this, but I feel like Jared Saxon also he writes literature about biracial people and their perspective of like having to, because honest, the individualized, I think like it is useful to be able to speak of like how something individually affects me versus like how societally, like, you know, the structure as it is constructed is meant to do this. Like, I think that as the individual person, I think that the structure creates so that mixed race people do have this kind of their identity is fickle. It depends on where they are, that their identity is what it is, and that's not. I think, in my opinion, that's intentional. Like, it's to create these identity crises within people that are mixed race, so that they never really feel like they have a belonging to one place. But like Jared Saxon ultimately writes, like at the end you realize, like I know the idea of the tragic mulatto, those tropes in like literature come up, but like Jared Saxon at the end writes like, truly mixed race people are Black people, but what does it mean for mixed race and white passing people to then have this conversation? Because those phenotypically, it matters how you are, what your looks look like. And I don't think that, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm going on a lot, but.
That was great. I don't know. I would mark that for Thursday. That's all I want to say. That was great stuff.
Oh, thank you. Well, that makes sense. We're talking about great stuff. Eat together here.
Yeah. Anybody else want to hop in before I maybe finish one more page of the cast of characters? Okay. Okay. Mamie Shepherd. Oh, sorry. Companion marriage. What is a companion marriage? Companion marriage is a union in which the partners decide not to have children, reserve the right to divorce amicably with mutual consent, and in which neither party would have any financial or economic claim to the other. Shout out to these niggas. Let's see. Helen.
That's definitely a city girl bop.
I mean, when Sadia is talking about the anarchy, like this is very, very much so giving. Oh wait, is this a white woman? I just googled Helen Parrish and a white woman came up, so I'm a little disgusted. But I don't like that, Sadia. Well, a wealthy philanthropist, okay, and housing reformer in a companion marriage with Hannah Fox. So maybe these are two white lesbians. Anarchists. Also member of the Philadelphia elite. All right, page 19, Roman numerals. Mamie Shepherd, aka Mamie Sharp. This is making me think about census, like, so there was like a year and a half when I was like very deep into my family tree, and it was so wild to see how carelessly Black folks' names were treated, and like how many various spellings there were, and I had to like parse through to find my folks, and I'm wondering if that's connected to that. A 19-year-old beauty who rents a 3-room flat in a tenement on St. Mary Street in Philadelphia. Is this giving, what is it called? A madam? Is this giving madam vibes? Or maybe it's just sex work vibes. I feel like 3-room flat and beauty are maybe giving me that. What is it called when you're the
It's a madam.
I know, but what is the place called?
A whorehouse?
What is the other? A brothel. Thank you.
A brothel.
Yes, also a whorehouse. Brothel. Okay.
I don't know if they said it first.
You said what?
But yes. I was just saying, I don't know who said it first, me or Nate, but yes, a brothel.
Period. James Shepherd, Mamie's husband. We love that. Residents of St. Mary Street. Okay. Fanny Fisher is a middle-aged woman who drinks herself to death. Old Fisher, Fanny's husband. Mary Riley, a young mother. Katie Clayton, a pretty young woman fond of men's company. Old Clayton, Katie's grandmother. It's so interesting that this prefix old is being used in two different ways. Ike and Bella Denby, a brawling and drinking couple. And that's the end of the residents of St. Mary Street. We have 4 more minutes. May Enoch, a recent arrival to New York. Arthur Harris, May's husband and defender. Huh. They have 2 different last names. So I wonder if this is a what is it? A common law marriage? Is that what that's called? Robert Thorpe, a white man who grabs May Enoch and strikes Arthur Harris. Gladys Bentley, entertainer, womanizer, African sculpture, flamboyant and genderqueer stroller, and friend of Mabel Hampton. Have we already been introduced to Mabel? Maybe not. Oh, Gladys Bentley. This is the Black woman who always has on the 5-piece suit. She's the jazz singer. Is this Gladys Bentley? I think that's who. Yeah, the top hat and all that situation. All right. So Gladys Bentley, entertainer, womanizer, African sculpture. I don't know what that means. Are we likening her to the that goddess sculpture, or I don't know. Flamboyant and genderqueer stroller and friend of Mabel Hampton. Stroller. I'm thinking about, Girls on the Stroll, which is a very sex worker thing. Or is that On the Strip? No, On the Stroll. Jackie Mabley, actor, comedian, bulldagger, female impersonator, and friend of Mabel Hampton. All right, Mabel is acquiring quite a crew. Anybody have anything to throw in? Oh, Mom's Mabley, period. Female impersonator. That's so interesting. All right, Mary White Ovington, social reformer, dear friend of W.E.B. Du Bois, and a co-founder of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. I'm assuming also a light skin. Edna Thomas, stage and screen actor. Olivia Wyndham, English aristocrat who falls in love with Edna Thomas. All right, we got some more lesbians. Oh, we're at 4:02. Okay, so I'm gonna pause here, unless we want to finish the thing of characters. But I'm okay with pausing here. Let me know. What are y'all interested in?
More pages of characters?
You said what?
How many more pages of characters is there?
It's this many, where that pink line, under that pink line, and then this is the end.
I think we could finish the characters unless people have other things to do.
Yeah, I guess my question, Jeriel and Aaron, do you have a no in your spirit? Because if anybody says no, then I'll just stop here. You're good, Aaron.
It's a yes for me.
Okay, cool. Let's carry on. Sorry, I need to. All right. Okay, this gives me time to figure out who the fuck Mabel is and Mabel Hampton. Mabel. Oh. No, that's Jackie Mabel Hampton. Okay. I don't know who this is. I've never seen you before. But this is Mabel Hampton, a bad bitch, if I've ever seen one. Okay, Edna Thomas, stage and screen actor. Olivia Wyndham is an English aristocrat who falls in love with Edna Thomas. Lloyd Thomas is Edna's husband, period. A handsome, cultured man, fond of quoting Chinese poets and manager of a Harlem nightclub. It's very specific. Okay. Harriet Powell, a 17-year-old who loves dance halls. Eleanor Fagan, aka Billie Holiday, a 14-year-old arrested for prostitution in a jump raid in Harlem. I wonder if those two are connected. Also, I'm really excited to see like how these characters unfold upon each other, because it feels like they're probably connected, Harriet and Billie Holiday. Esther Brown, Chippy, and Rebel. Chippy. Hey Siri, can you define Chippy?
Okay, I found this on the web for define Chippy. Check it out.
Tramp, prostitute. Okay. A promiscuous woman. Esther Brown, Chippy and Rebel, who insists on being treated the same as white girls. You got the game fucked up. And also, you got Esther fucked up. Rebecca Waters, Esther Brown's friend. Grace Campbell, social worker, probation officer. We got a cop. And member of the African Blood Brotherhood and the Socialist Party. That's an interesting combination of characteristics. I'm also wondering if my imagination is too limited in thinking about this person being a social worker, which is an arm of the state, and a probation officer, an arm of the state, and also being a member of the Socialist Party. Black people are expansive, abundant. Okay. I don't know.
Maybe they were infiltrating the system.
But like
trying to gain intel.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm gonna leave space for that. No, I appreciate that because I have to hold out hope for that because I don't understand that combination in any other context.
No, the African blood brotherhood gives me Hotep vibes. You don't think Hotep? I think Hotep would do all of those things. The police officer, look, you're doing it better.
That's so real. Also, I assume Grace, that's a woman, Campbell. Grace Campbell was the first African-American woman to run for state office in New York. She was also the first female African-American member of the Socialist Party and the Communist Party of America. All right, let's get an image. Boo. Not all these white women. Nobody asked for this. Okay, here we go. Also a light skin. Okay, gonna keep reading. Eva Perkins, a 19-year-old factory worker, lover of street life, and a wife of Kid Chocolate, period. Aaron Perkins, aka Kid Chocolate, aka Kid Happy, Harlem boxer, elevator operator, and dreamer. Shine, myth, archetype, and avatar. What? Okay, so the character's name is Shine, and the description of this character is myth, archetype, and avatar. All right. So many questions. I'm like, is this aura? Is this an aura? Is this a person? But I mean, I guess that's the point of the character. Mabel Hampton, finally. Corrine. What is this word? Corrine. Oh, a chorus girl. Okay. Chorus girl. Mabel Hampton, a chorus girl, and just to refresh our memories, the chorus, all the unnamed young women of the city trying to find a way to live and in search of beauty. So Mabel Hampton actually gets a name. She's a lesbian, working class intellectual, and aspiring concert singer. Ella Baker, shout out to the God. I just have also so many questions about Ella Baker's queerness because she is giving really big dyke vibes in every single photograph, and I just don't understand
Yo,
it.
did you ever watch Lovecraft Country?
I did, but I haven't finished the last episode.
Okay, so do you remember Hippolyta's exploration and naming herself?
Mm-hmm.
And she's performing on stage with who?
Josephine Baker.
Okay, never mind. I'm thinking about Josephine Baker. I'm like, Josephine Baker's lover was in the background and people wrote like an op-ed about it. But that's not Ella Baker. Never mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
But same. I have similar questions.
Yeah. So Harlem stroller, I need to know what this word is meaning in this context because it's been used twice. Yeah, this is going to be impossible to find in this moment because, of course, stroller is going to bring up strollers for babies. Definition. Also, we have two more characters and then a note about location. A person taking a leisurely walk. That's so interesting that is a noteworthy thing for Black people, but it really is because itinerancy.
Well, if you're, sorry.
Yeah. Just itinerancy is a whole like criminal offense. Vagrancy, all these things are illegal. Like Black people moving freely is illegal. Yeah, go ahead, Erin.
I was just going to say that it has to mean something that not only is it illegal, but it's a luxury that other people don't have. Like, I don't have time to just be sitting around looking cool, strolling with my friends because I have to work 20 hours a day or 16 hours a day. And it's also interesting that when the first time you read genderqueer stroller, I thought, okay, does each time, well, not each time, but like depending on, you know, the day or the time, will we see this person strolling with a man and then you might see them the next time strolling with a woman? Like, what does it mean to be a genderqueer? Like, why those specific language around strolling? Or does it just mean that you are changing your like persona or outfit as you are? Like, because how can someone cue in on that if you're just strolling down the street? This idea of genderqueer. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I think that question absolutely makes sense. I think for me, the way that I'm thinking about genderqueer stroller is very independent of anyone else's like response or independent of interaction with anyone else. I think the naming of genderqueer next to stroller is naming the like heightened like illegality, like a person who is transgressing gender norms, which again is a legal offense in this time and still is in 2020. But being genderqueer is illegal. Like there is a whole law, like the gender something law, where if you were assigned to be and assumed one gender and you had more than 2 articles of clothing of the opposite gender, you could be arrested or fined. So it's a whole like, there's a whole like, you're being very testy of your freedom if you are a genderqueer person and also a Black person who is walking leisurely about. And I think that like what you're naming about like it being a privilege, it's like kind of, but also it's just very like fugitive and like, yeah. To be just like, yeah, I'm a Black person, because also Black people can be fined and arrested for not having a labor contract. So if you are a Black person who's just walking leisurely about, you don't have your papers or your labor contract, and you are transgressing gender norms, like this is a whole case for you to be locked up for life. So yeah, that's the thing that I'm thinking about. Nate, were you about to say something, or were you? No? Okay.
I'm just having thoughts and showing those thoughts on my face.
Yeah. Okay, last 2 characters, Marvel Cook, a communist and journalist, Hubert Harrison, socialist, writer, and street corner lecturer. Come on. Then the last note is locations. Streets and alleys in the 5th and 7th Ward of Philadelphia. Streets and alleys. Streets of the Tenderloin and Harlem. An artist studio on Spruce Street. Steerage on the Old Dominion Streamer. What is steerage? Hey Siri, can you define steerage? Hey Siri, can you define steerage?
This is a historical term, the part of the ship providing accommodations for passengers with the cheapest tickets. Do you want to hear the remaining one?
Cheapest ticket on a ship. Okay, we're at 15. I'm gonna fly through this. West Side Docks, Jim Crow car on the Atlantic Coastline Railway, rented rooms and kitchenettes throughout the Black Belt, clubs, saloons, and cabarets, Lafayette Theater, Alhambra Theater, Garden of Joy, Clam House, Edmund Cellar, Blackwell's Island Workhouse, Bedford Hills Reformatory for Women, Coney Island, and theaters, movie houses, dance halls, casinos, lodges, Black and Tan dives, buffet flats, and chop suey joints. I should have organized that a bit better as someone who's reading something that, anyway. So that's that on that. That is the cast of characters. I'm glad that we spent time just, moving through that at our own pace, because I feel like we have, a lot to work with. Anything?
I'll try to get as much stuff about the definition and characters that I have, and then I'll try to share it because I think I have all your emails from the first email. Mm-hmm. So I'll share out the
Wow,
document.
I didn't BCC. I'm so sorry. Wow.
If not, I'll find a way. But so, and please add whatever, I'll try to remember this as much as I can, but please add whatever definitions you think, or if you're like, please add whatever definitions to the character sheet. And then I think also a visual map, this is just a thought, would be helpful.
Yes.
If we could, yeah. Because these locations, they're so, and I wonder if she has a map in the book. I don't have a physical copy yet, but I'm gonna try to get one.
Jeriel, you said you had a digital copy, right? It does. Wow. Okay. Yeah, when you send it out, I will, when you send it out, can you just include in the email, like, here are the needs, or here's the ways that I can see this, needing support or whatever, and I will, folks can, choose to support as their capacities allow. Any closing remarks, things?
Thanks y'all for being smart as shit.
That's what Black people are, period.
That's the fact.
Period.
The imagery of like 2 Black femmes getting their hair done while we read this book is very powerful. Very important, and that everybody's just coming in their capacity and learning, which is something I feel like I did not get to experience growing up in this quarantine. It's been very important to like look back and be like, I was really not like, damn, I wish I had just had a gathering of Black femmes or just Black people and like we sat in a circle and being like, what is this about? Instead of like sitting in class where I was like, damn, I have to sit here for 45 minutes and my ADHD isn't letting that shit happen, and I also hate this book, so.
Right, right, facts.
Like, I don't need to hear about these white boys who love war. It's not me. But yes, just thank you for this, and thank you for coming in your capacity, and everybody looks beautiful. So yeah.
Yay. I'm so excited for tomorrow. I don't know when I'm going to make time to actually think through my questions for us to discuss. But I think, so in the form, I have shared there's documents, and also sometime today, I'm gonna share with you all the folder that I created for wayward stuff. And if you want to I can also give y'all the login for the account, because it's an account that I made specifically for niggas reading things. So that you can, if you want to create the document right in there, or if you just want to make it on your own account and just share it so it can be dropped into the folder, perfect. Yeah, but this evening I will be throwing questions into the discussion questions that I have into the discussion question doc. If you have questions, throw those in. And yeah, tomorrow's reading will be at 5 p.m. This will be no reading and just discussion. Yeah, and it'll be 2 hours, stay for your capacity. I don't even know that I have 2 hours worth of capacity, or that I will tomorrow. So honor what you need, and yeah, show up how you can, or not at all if that is not your capacity. Yeah, anything else? Y'all are lit. All right, make sure you hydrate, moisturize, and I will talk to you all tomorrow.
Okay, bye.
Bye.